What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to the brother Aram for the donation via the PayPal. Much respect to you for showing love to Too Raw for TV. He had a question. He said, you said that Larry is your GOAT small forward. After I saw your video about what Ron Harper said about Pippen, my question in today's 2025 NBA, what would Bird and Pippen be averaging, and would Bird still win multiple MVPs? Isaiah Thomas recently said if Bird played in today's game, he would still be MVP of the league and his team would still win multiple championships. Thank you, Mike. Well, like I said, these are just my opinion. But I think if Scottie Pippen was playing in today's NBA, I think that he would be an all-star level player, all-star caliber player. But, you know, we have to be a little bit fair here too. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the more I try to analyze things, the more I want to be consistent. Now, one of the things that we always say about Scottie Pippen was he had a lot of great natural talent. And there's a lot of players in the NBA who have a lot of great natural talent. But that talent was pushed and maximized by playing against and with, when I say against, I mean in practice, and playing with, in Chicago, the greatest player, arguably of all time, Michael Jordan, and arguably the greatest coach of all time, in Phil Jackson. That can never be disputed. So one of the things we always say is we're not certain if Scottie would have peaked at that level, time in and time out, time and again, playing against a guy like Michael Jordan. He would have to have been playing against somebody who had that level of intensity and competitiveness, who, let's be honest, one of the things that went against Scottie when he was first drafted was toughness, especially compared to the league of that time. Now, and compared to today's league, Scottie would have been tough. But if you're going to go down that slope, if we're talking about taking Scottie Pippen and putting him in today's game, of course, we'll have to modernize some of his skills. Or at least try to put it into the context of today's game, right? So I think he'd have to work a little bit more on his ball handling was great for the times he played in. I guess he had to work a little bit more on his ball handling, but I think that he would be better offensively in today's game because of the style. He'd be more consistent as far as putting up 20 points a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you remember Scottie Pippen, he played for Chicago. He often had some of his biggest games against the Western Conference teams who in the 90s had more of a run and gun style offense. So those were often the teams that Scottie Pippen had those 25, 30, 35-point nights against. The teams that he struggled against were oftentimes the teams that played more half-court sets and half-court offense and great centers, shot blockers. The lanes weren't as open, so it involved, a guy who was a little bit less complete, like Scottie, to shoot more jumpers and outside shots. And there were nights when Scottie would knock those shots down, but then there were a lot of nights too when Scottie was off, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? But I think in today's game, he would be like a guy putting up 22 points a night. I think he would probably average about 8 rebounds and 8 or 9 assists. I think he'd be an all-star level player. I still don't think he would score a lot, though. Like, when I say score a lot, I mean, I'm not saying he wouldn't have nights where he would drop 40, but it just wasn't in Pip's nature to shoot the ball 25, 30 times a night. He rarely did that. He rarely shot the ball more than that. And I think that would possibly be some level of inconsistency with Scottie still. I still think, he kind of might remind us a little bit of just on the lower scale of inconsistency with a guy like Andrew Wiggins. I could see a little bit of that, but I just don't know if he's not playing with another like great player like a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or a Larry Bird or Magic. If it's somebody that's not that intense, I wondered how Scottie would do in today's game. Now, if he played on one of these super teams, then maybe he still wins championships because he still is, I think, a great player. But I just wonder a little bit more with Scottie. Larry Bird, on the other hand, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, Larry Bird, man. Let me tell you something. If you want to get an idea about how Larry Bird would perform in today's league, I think the obvious comparison to me would be Nikola Jokic. Now, Bird was 6'9.5", roughly 6'10", 225 pounds, maybe 230 pounds. Jokic, of course, is a lot bigger. Jokic is more around, well, especially, not necessarily just height, but just girth. Jokic is around 6'11", 275, maybe 265 when he's in better shape, 280 at times. So Jokic is a lot bigger. But that also goes to show you, if you put Bird at the power forward position, or hell, even a small forward position in today's game, because I don't know if he has the speed to play point. But then again, I can't even say that. I can't say that because Nikola Jokic is killing it, being out of shape. So I don't know if I can say that either. Because today's game is not even as predicated on speed as it once was. It's more predicated on passing, shooting, outside shooting. Now, dig this. Larry Bird was a good three-point shooter in an era where teams weren't even shooting 30% from three. He was leading the league in three-point shots when, taking 2 a game was a lot. And he didn't practice threes that much. I think the only time he really ever practiced threes was before a three-point contest, when he entered those 3 and won them. So, man, I can only imagine in this era, I think Larry Bird would be probably on par or in the same league with a Klay Thompson and Steph Curry as far as percentage and volume. I mean, I don't want to put a number on it, but I could easily see him taking 9, 10, I could see him taking 9, 10, 11 threes a night. And considering that he shot 37.6% from three when he retired in 92, in that era when the three-point average was still, like you said, a lot of guys in the upper 20s. I mean, do you know how much better he was shooting than the league average? Like, and if he was practicing that shot, man, I hate to see this guy in today's league because he's quicker than Jokic. Bird, as crafty as Nikola Jokic is, Bird was a great rebounder. Bird was a great passer. I would imagine the offense would run through him more now because we don't have the same, fixation on position like we had back then. Nikola Jokic is a good outside shooter, but Bird would be better. Bird would be an even better mid-range shooter. Bird would be an even better post player. I know Jokic looks great as a post player, and he is, but it's mostly because of his size. But Bird could score face up. Bird could score with his back to the basket. Bird could score with either hand. Bird could score with his left hand, his right hand. I mean, he would be the MVP of this league. This league right now is catered for Larry Bird. I've said this before. I think Bird, if anything, would have struggled more. I want to say struggle, but it'll be a little harder for him 20 years ago when the league was predicated more on athleticism. Now, that league, I think, would have been better suited for Scottie Pippen. If Pippen was 10 years younger, 10 to 15 years younger, 2003, 2004 era basketball, when it was more important to have a first step, when it's more important to have length and athleticism. Now the league is predicated more on shooting and passing and some of the more skilled areas of basketball. Now, I think Bird would have to improve to a degree some of his ball handling ability and dribbling. But he's not a guy that's going to dribble the air of the ball anyway. And Bird was so crafty. Yeah, man, I could see I could see Bird in today's league, man. If he was on a great team, I could see him averaging 20, 27, 11, and 8. And on a bad team, I could see him averaging 32, 12, and 10. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I just think that this game with the pace, I think it would really suit him. And then another thing about Larry Bird is that he would have stretches where he's playing MVP basketball for weeks. You know what I'm saying? I just want to give people an idea about how good a shooter this guy was. Bird, for his career, despite having the injuries, right? For his career, Bird shot 49.6% from the floor. That's a guy who could score in the post, but was more or less a mid-range jump shooter, who drew double teams, who drew athletic wing defenders like a Dominique Wilkins, like a Scottie Pippen, you know what I'm saying? Like a James Worthy. He had to go up against athletes, people who he had absolutely no chance at beating in a foot race. No chance at beating them in any type of Olympic-style events. You get what I'm saying? He was going up against guys who were far more athletic than him. As opposed to a LeBron James, I got to bring him up, who often is guarded against guys who are at a disadvantage against him, either height-wise or even because of his, obvious steroid use, is at a disadvantage to him, even to this day and age, physically. Bird was going up against guys who were far more athletic. But his basketball IQ, his ability to create separation, his ability to, his craftiness, his ability to get to his spots because of his knowledge of the game made him, he's the last real great American white basketball player, man. And the NBA has been trying to replicate it so bad, but they haven't been able to do it. So, yeah, I think Bird will be on another level totally. If he was playing there today, I think we'd be hearing GOAT conversations if Larry Bird was playing today, if he stayed healthy. Scottie, I think, will be an all-star level player, but I do wonder without the tutelage of a Michael Jordan, just how great he would have been. But I think he's still been an all-star level player. Anyway, tell me what you guys think.